Hey, hey! How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for being here. Look, it's time. It is time to get into Lyme disease. We're going to talk about so much today. We're going to go over everything that I've learned over the years. We're going to learn every single thing that I've personally learned. I'm going to share everything I know. And I'm also going to share my story. I'm going to talk about other people's stories. I'm going to talk about the current state of Lyme disease, what we're looking at in terms of healing, in terms of the medical industry, in terms of personal challenges that we're all facing day to day. And look, the first thing I want to do is a giveaway. Okay? I'm doing a free giveaway right here, right now. And in fact, it's going to be for anybody who stays until the end, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook. YouTube, I have Facebook over here, so when you see me looking over here, I'm looking at the people on Facebook. Facebook, I have YouTube over here, so when you see me looking over here, over here, it's because I'm talking to YouTube. Now, I am going to send one lucky person one of these boxes, so stay until the end if you want to be that lucky person. And I can't actually tell you what's in this box yet. It is a complete secret, but I also... I'm like the guy on the commercials, right? But that's not all. But wait, there's more, right? So listen, there's more. I'm going to send you this t-shirt. Not this specifically. This is my t-shirt. But I'm going to send you a t-shirt that looks exactly like this. I have all different sizes, small, medium, large, extra large. And I'll get your size and send it out. So it's just a t-shirt. Has the Lyme Wars logo on it. I love this logo. I think it's pretty cool. I think you'll think it's pretty cool. So I'm going to give that to you for free as well as a giveaway. If you stay until the end of this, we'll do a little game to see who wins it. So stay tuned, stay for that, and let's get right into it. So before we jump into some of what's been happening in the Lyme disease community, the main thing that I want to share first is we are launching these Lyme Wars boxes. And we're going to launch them on Sunday, February 26th. So I just want to throw that date out there, keep you informed, and let you know. This is what I've been working on literally for the past 5 years. If you ask my kids, if you ask my ex-wife, if you ask these people that have always been in my life, I have been grinding away on this project for so long, just putting in so much work, calling the right people, getting the right stuff, putting it all together, trying to figure out what's actually the most beneficial thing that I could give to everybody, but then also putting it in a nice packaged, neat form so that you can just get it very easily, quickly. And by the way, I will mention, it's under $2 a day. It's less than a can of Coca-Cola a day to get this box. And I think for me, this box literally changed my life. And the way that it did that is not how you might expect. I didn't actually have what was inside the box in the form that's inside the box, but instead I had to go source this thing from over here and that thing from over here and go talk to an herbalist and go talk to this person and go talk to a supplement person and go buy a certain supplement from Amazon. I had to buy certain supplements from the supplement store. I had to source all this stuff together, and when I did that, I was able to heal from Lyme disease. But now I want to make it way, way easier, quicker, faster for you to be able to do the same things. And that's why I put together this box. And I'll tell you all about it on Sunday, February 26th. So just keep your eyes peeled. And if you haven't already, go to LymeDiseaseWars.com. You can sign up to the early bird list. And the reason you'd want to do that is because we are giving a steep discount to the first people that sign up for this. So like I said, it's under $2 per day. It's a steep discount. I want to give that to you so that you can afford this long-term, short-term, so you can afford it right now and not be stuck in the current situation. I know that medical bills pile up very quickly. The medical industry in the country of the United States is a little bit of a fiasco. It can cost a lot of money, and it can damage not only your health, but it can damage your family and your finances, and it can go way deeper than just, going to the doctor. It can cost a lot of money for the insurance. It can cost a lot of money for medical bills, and they pile up, and it gets insane. Recently I just got a $500 bill today for medical services. That it wasn't for Lyme disease. It was for something for my kids. just going to like regular checkups, and you know, they were sick, so we went and got a few tests, and it ended up being like $500. It's so easy for medical bills to pile up and absolutely destroy our finances in the country of the United States. And we're going to get more into that. I'm just saying this is way cheaper, easier, faster than all of the other alternatives that you have. And I finally got it together over the past 5 years. Just really, I went through hell trying to get this thing. I actually traveled to California. I traveled to Florida. I like had to meet so many people and do way more than I thought I was going to have to do in order to put this together. And I really, really want you to have it for the cheapest possible price so that you can start to get better. My goal has always been to make a huge impact on the Lyme disease community. If you're on YouTube, you know this. If you're on Facebook, you might not. I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been making videos on YouTube. That's how this all started during my Lyme disease journey. Started making YouTube videos. I wrote a book about my journey. I gave that book away for free to as many people as possible. I built up a large in my mind, you know, over 1,000 people downloaded the book, over 1,000 people subscribed to me on YouTube. And I've just tried to continue since then. Now, there has been breaks in there. There has been ups and downs, and you know, I've had family issues. I've had other things get in the way sometimes, but I tried my best to put everything I can into the Lyme disease community because it changed my life in such a huge way. And I know if you're watching this, it probably is changing your life right now as we speak. So I totally understand that, and I know what it's like. And I want to start off by just talking simply about the symptoms of Lyme disease. So you may have symptoms like headaches. That's a simple one, right? You may also have joint pain. You may have you know, neurological effects where you can't think straight. You have brain fog. You know, for me, I started getting vertigo. I started getting tunnel vision, and I actually fainted 3 separate times. And it was like the scariest stuff that I've ever been through. I mean, I've never fainted before that point. When I was 24 years old, I started fainting out of nowhere. I wasn't drinking any alcohol. I wasn't doing any drugs. I was literally just hanging out with my friends. And next thing you know, I'm on the floor. My vision just went like this, and that was it. It was just an insane moment. I actually ended up going to the doctor multiple times. The first time I went, I had the bullseye rash, and I'm so grateful and lucky that I had that rash. Now, if you're watching this, you may or may not have that rash. You may be in the percentage of people that doesn't have the diagnosis yet, that just knows that you're suffering and has a suspicion that it may be Lyme disease or Lyme disease and its co-infections. Or you may be someone that's already diagnosed with Lyme disease with the co-infections or Lyme disease without the co-infections. Most likely there's co-infections regardless, even if you don't know about them. Now, it's not necessarily extremely important that you know about the co-infections to begin with. There's a lot of the same symptoms that go with these co-infections and a lot of the same treatments, at least as far as I'm concerned. A lot of the same path that we take in order to heal from Lyme disease can be applied to Bartonella, Babesia, chlamydia, all of the other co-infections that go with Lyme disease. So if you're watching this and you're wondering, well, I don't have Borrelia burgdorferi, I have Babesia microbes. There's a large percentage of people where this stuff is still going to work. It's still going to be helpful. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which we can get into. Now, symptoms also can include, I mean, if you've ever looked at the symptoms for Lyme disease, it's literally like as tall as me. It keeps going and going and going. And there's no rules about these symptoms, right? There's no symptom set that's easily like, this is Lyme disease. The only one is that rash, the EM rash, erythema migrans rash, which looks like a bullseye. I actually had it here on my belly and then a little bit higher up on my belly. And I had a big belly at the time. Right now, I have more like a 6-pack because I've been really, really invested in my health for the past 5 years. But back then, I had a gut, right? And there's a picture of me laying on the beach, and I just had this big bullseye rash on my stomach. And I'm so glad that I had that rash. no matter how bad it looked, no matter how stupid it looked. I remember being on that beach and just sleeping. Literally, we got there at 8 in the morning and I woke up at like 4 p.m. And I don't remember any of the trip. No sandcastles, no swimming, no spending time with my kids. It was very uneventful for me because I was so smashed and beat down from Lyme disease. But luckily I had that rash. I was able to get the diagnosis. If I didn't get the diagnosis, who knows what would have happened next. But the fainting came in a little bit later. I already had the diagnosis. The rash was gone, right? So now I'm deeper in. I'm in later stage Lyme disease at this point, and I'm fainting. And I go to the doctor and they tell me, your heart rate is down to 30 beats per minute. Now I've shared this story many, many times, so you may have heard this already. But that was terrifying for me. Extremely, extremely terrifying, to say the least. I had a daughter. I had a son on the way in my wife's belly at the time. And I was just really, really scared that I wasn't actually going to meet my son. When you hear that your heart rate is down to 30 beats per minute, it's kind of like, okay, well, I guess this is it. I started treating people differently. I started looking at my life in a completely different light. I started saying things to people that I was holding on to for a really long time. Because I didn't know if I was going to see them. I didn't know if I was going to wake up the next day, to be completely honest. And I actually thought, now whether it was true or not, I don't know. We can't say, was I actually dying? I can't say for sure that I was going to be dead. But I can say that I treated it as if I was going to be dead. And that's what basically determined my behavior from then on. And it's changed me ever since. I mean, you can tell in the way I carry myself today, in the work that I put in the time that I spend today, how I spend my time, who I spend my time with, what I do on the weekends, what I do, on a day-to-day basis. You can tell that I've been through that struggle. You can tell that I've faced that near death, for me, that near death experience, and it's changed the way that I show up in the world ever since. Now, symptoms for you may or may not be your heart is killing you. You may not have Lyme carditis. You might have neurological symptoms. You might have the achy joints. You may have, God, there's so many symptoms, it's insane. You can have random fevers out of nowhere. This isn't even counting the symptoms that come from Herxheimer reactions. So what I want you to do right now, if you're watching, I want you to comment. Let us know your specific symptom set. What are you going through? This is for you, right? This video is for you. This live stream is specifically to try to help you, and it helps to get those things out, to share with the community. It also helps us understand what Lyme disease looks like for a bunch of different people. When I say us, I mean the Lyme disease community benefits greatly when we share our stories, because the people that don't have that diagnosis and the people that don't have the benefit of knowing that they have Lyme disease can then look at all of the symptom sets and just start to figure out if maybe Lyme disease is the culprit of what they're experiencing. It can affect you in so many ways. Right now, my friend Chelsea, it's actually more of my sister's friend from childhood. I'm talking little kids. She's bedridden right now. She can't walk. She not only has Lyme disease, she has multiple co-infections. She has a host of other health issues. I'm not able to share everything with you, and I don't actually even know everything, I don't think. But for what she shared with me, Lyme disease, she finally just found out she has Lyme disease, and she's about a year and a half into this battle of not being able to walk. And it's been difficult, not only for her, but for her family. She's had multiple deaths in the family as well that really shook up the family, and now she's bedridden. It's a very, very sad and difficult situation. And so that just goes to show the symptoms are so wide-ranging and crazy. Some people can't walk. Some people end up getting seizures. Some people end up getting MS type symptoms. There's so many symptoms that can come from Lyme disease, and that is part of what makes it so difficult to treat, so difficult to spot, and so difficult to diagnose for the regular medical establishment, which is what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about problems with the medical industry. One second, let me get a drink of water. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Friday night, by the way. This isn't wine. I know this is a wine glass, kind of. One of those copper wine glasses. This is what I drink my water out of. I don't like putting it in plastic. I like putting it in this nice copper cup. I think it's a good way to drink my water. Now, what's the problems with the medical industry? What are the main things that the medical industry does when you find out you have Lyme disease? Well, the first thing that happened to me was they gave me antibiotics, right? Immediately. They wrote me a script, and I got lucky. I got extremely lucky. I had the rash, right? And they immediately wrote me an antibiotic script, and it took less than 5 minutes. They said, "Oh, you have Lyme disease. Here's some antibiotics." That was it. That was my experience with the medical industry when it comes to Lyme disease. Then, later, when it progressed into later stage Lyme disease, I was fainting. I had heart problems. My doctor looked like a ghost. He turned completely white. He had no clue what to do. He started choosing his words very carefully. He said, "Ryan, your heart rate dropped to 30 beats per minute." Now, an athlete normally has a resting heart rate of 60 beats per minute, and that's low. And yours is 30. And I was like, okay. He wasn't doing a lot to make me feel confident that he could help me fix the problem. And that's probably because he didn't feel confident that he could fix the problem. He probably never experienced an issue like this before, and he probably never experienced Lyme carditis. It goes to show the amount of doctors that are actually capable of helping people heal from Lyme disease. And if you're watching this, you may have experienced that yourself. And instead of assuming that I know your story, I'd love for you to share how the Lyme, the medical industry treated your Lyme disease. What did they do for you? How did they treat you when you had Lyme disease? Did they immediately give you antibiotics? Did they even know you had Lyme disease? Were you able to get a diagnosis? I'd love to hear that side of your story as well. I think it goes a long way in sharing these things within the community, because we're able to kind of see where the problems are. And this live stream is really meant to be a discussion. It's not really just me, saying that I have all the answers. But what I'm thinking is, a lot of times, the first thing they want to do is give you antibiotics. Now, if those antibiotics don't work, which in many cases, the antibiotics do not work. And there's many reasons for that. First of all, the Lyme microbes, Borrelia burgdorferi, they're corkscrew shaped. They're like a big giant corkscrew. And they corkscrew into endothelial cells, and they steal collagen from our body, and they basically hijack our immune system cells so that they can go undetected. They also know how to insist into a small form, which allows them to basically withstand the pressure and the battle that comes from our immune system when we take antibiotics, and withstands the pressure from the antibiotics themselves, which what antibiotics do is they turn off some of the key functions inside of bacteria so that our body can come and basically wipe them out. Our immune system can come and fight and win the battle because they're already compromised. It's as if you are fighting a war and then one side of the war got all at the same time got stabbed in the belly. Now they're compromised, right? They're all hurt, and you can come in and win the war quite easily. That is how antibiotics work. Now, when you have a microbe like Borrelia burgdorferi that knows how to hide, that knows how to insist, that also has biofilms. Biofilms, you can think of them like a small city. of bacteria that gather together and kind of enclose themselves into a form, a small group of them. And this allows them also to have protection from the outside world. It allows them to stay in these clumps and kind of protect themselves from being attacked and hurt from our immune system. So they have a lot of ways to avoid the immune system and to not die. So antibiotics coming in, they work. Sometimes they don't work. Other times, the medical industry likes to say they don't work in 20% of cases. The CDC reports that they don't work in 20% of cases. I found that I put that number closer to 50%. And a lot of Lyme literate doctors, Dr. Bill Rawls or even Stephen Booner from Healing Lyme, they put it closer to 40-50% of people are finding that antibiotics are not working. Now, people ask about specific kinds of antibiotics. The main one that they like to use is doxycycline, but they can also use tetracycline. They can also use hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine doesn't really work very well because Borrelia burgdorferi has a very low pH and they're acidic, meaning that it just doesn't, the way that hydroxychloroquine works, it just doesn't work correctly to kill the Lyme microbes because of that acidity. From what I've found with antibiotics, there's another thing to take into account, and that's that there has been deaths specifically attributed to antibiotics. There's about 35,000 deaths every year, and that's reported from the CDC. Now, 35,000 people. Can you even imagine 35,000 people? Like if you filled a stadium with 35,000 people, that'd be a lot of people, right? That is a big chunk of people. Now, when you do the math, however, you find out that, 260 million people take antibiotics or at least written prescriptions for antibiotics every year. So 35,000 then is only 0.01% of those people. So talking purely data, the risk factor is then 0.01%. Now, me personally, I didn't want to risk being that 0.01% because I didn't see much of a benefit to that risk. Now, you might be saying, that's crazy. You could heal from Lyme disease. Why would that not be worth the risk? And to me, it's because not only, if it does work, what are the negative things that happen? Well, it kills all bacteria, not just, like, antibiotics don't know the difference between Borrelia burgdorferi and the hundreds of trillions of healthy bacteria that live in your gut, live in your body, help with breaking down food, energy, mind, matter. They basically are linked to every single area of your body. They've linked them to your brain. They've linked our gut microbiome to every single process that happens in the body, and it's linked to the immune system itself. So back to when I was talking about poking holes in one side of the war, it actually pokes holes in both sides of the war, right? You're hurting your bad bacteria, but you're hurting your good bacteria at the same rate. And the bad bacteria knows how to hide. And there's a 0.01% chance that it kills you. When you add all those factors together, to me, it was a common sense, no-brainer decision to not take antibiotics. And people think that might be crazy. And I get a lot of backlash for that online. People say, why are you sharing not to use antibiotics? Like, how could you say that? Some of us don't even have the option to take antibiotics. And we need that option. We need to be diagnosed and we need to be able to get antibiotics. And you know what? I agree with that 100%. I think everyone should have the option and the ability to take antibiotics. I believe it should be easy to get the diagnosis, but it's not. And people don't always have that option. But those that do have that option, I would say, think about it long and hard, and don't just think that you're going to take the antibiotics and the problem's just going to go away. In fact, you might just cause a whole new set of problems. And that's what we see so often in the Lyme disease community. And one of the most tragic things that you'll see is people in late stage Lyme taking antibiotics for 3 months, 4 months. The longer term you take antibiotics, the more you take antibiotics, whether it's IV antibiotics or oral antibiotics, the more damage that it does to your body. And That's just a fact. That's just how antibiotics work. They're killing healthy bacteria, they're killing good bacteria, and that's not something that I'm willing to do. Maybe you are. Maybe you think that's your best chance, and that's totally your right. Which leads me to the point that this whole thing is our personal responsibility, right? It's time to take charge of your life. It's not about what the medical establishment gives us, doesn't give us. To me, it's about taking charge of your life. It's about being the captain of your ship. It's about being the person that is in full responsibility of your health and your body. That means you make the decisions about antibiotics, about herbs, about nutrition, about weight loss, about blood testing. You make the decisions about how much sleep you're going to get every night, what hobbies you're going to add into your life, what kind of relationships you're going to build in your life. You have full control of all of these things. So instead of focusing on the things that we can't control, like what the medical establishment calls Lyme disease and what bucket they put us into, and complaining about that, in my opinion, it's in our best interest to take back our power, take back the control by saying, I am responsible. I am responsible for healing my body, and I am going to do what it takes. That's what I did when I was in this dire situation where I thought I was going to die. I literally put all of my power back in to taking back responsibility. And that was really what the whole thing was about for me. Now, I can't share, your story. And like I said, this whole time, I would love to hear your story. I can share some of my clients' stories, but a lot of that stuff is confidential as well because, obviously there's confidentiality between client and coach, which is what I usually refer to myself as. Sometimes, I do have a holistic nutritionist certificate, but I like to call myself a coach because I go way deeper than just nutrition. Now, there's more problems with the medical industry than I'll be able to cover in this video. And it's something that I'm constantly researching, and I'd love to hear your opinions because a lot of times I hear ideas from people and I hear people say certain things about the medical industry and how they're being treated and what their doctor is telling them. And it helps me learn. I go, oh, wow, I never heard about that. Let me look into it. I look at the studies. I look at the research. I look at the books that maybe this person is reading. And that helps me make better decisions, helps me share better information. So whatever you're going through with the medical industry, I'd love to hear about it. And let's discuss it. And another big thing that I want to talk about quickly is there's a lot of people saying that Lyme disease is a bioweapon experiment gone wrong. There was a book called Bitten that was written by a woman. Her name is escaping me. Oh, it's Chris something. That's what I'm thinking. Her name escapes me. The book's called Bitten. I haven't read the book. People are saying it points to evidence that Lyme disease is a man-made thing. Now, my original thoughts, okay? I'll be very upfront and say I didn't fully research this. I didn't read the book. I didn't watch the documentaries about it yet. The reason I didn't is because whether Lyme disease is man-made or not, it's my job to help people get better. And I don't want to sit here and dwell on the fact whether it's man-made or whether it's, comes from ticks or not. I don't want to dwell on it. I want to help people get better. And so that's where I focused all of my energy over the past 5 years. And, looking at all of that research is something that I do want to get into. It's just that I don't think the answer to the question is actually going to change my approach that much. Because what I've seen actually works with people, not just me, with my clients, with my friends. I've seen it work over and over and over again. And so I'm trying to be very careful about what I say here. People get offended. There's a lot of theories about where Lyme disease came from. And, whether or not it was a bioweapon created by the military. I laughed a little bit when I said that. That's just natural because we hear so many of these theories online today about every single thing. There's all these conspiracy theories, and some of them might be true. It's just really, really hard to prove any of them. So I think it's important to keep an open mind, do your own research, look into this, and and weigh it out. But to me, the downside of saying that it's man-made is that people might say, well, if it's man-made, I'll never be able to fix it. I'll never be able to heal and get better. And that's my worst nightmare. I need you to believe and know. I need you to know you can take back your body. You can feel like yourself again. I know this is a fact. Whether or not it's man-made doesn't matter to me. But I have a fear that if people think that it's man-made, they will say, well, then I'll never get better. And once you quit on yourself, that is when you stop taking that personal responsibility that we just spoke about. That is when you will start to suffer. Things will start to slide. You will not take the actions you're supposed to take, and your body will get worse over time. And that's the truth. You're not gonna get better if you don't believe you can get better. So that's my fear when it comes to that theory. Like I said, I still want to do some more research about it before I come out with any specific things that I think. But my original thought is, there's a lot of evidence pointing the other way, saying that's a lie, that can't be true, here's all the reasons why. And then there's evidence supporting it, but it's only really articles out of China that I'm seeing that are reporting it, which I don't trust. I don't know if you trust it. And so that's where I'm at with it. It's that I don't know the answer. I don't think we'll ever know. And at the end of the day, my job is still to help people heal and get better from Lyme disease. It doesn't matter where it came from. But don't think for a second that you can't do this, because I know for a fact that you can do this. You can take back your body. You can feel like yourself again. It's a fact. Now, how do you do that? Glad you asked. So, we have 6 areas that we focus on. One of them is hydration, actually. We do need to be very hydrated. It's extremely important. It also helps with detoxing the body. The main 3 ways to detox is sweat, pee, and poop. 2 of those things depend on having enough water in your body. You must be hydrated in order to detox. You must detox in order to not have Herxheimer reactions. This is just a fact of how Lyme disease works. Now, one interesting thing that nobody is talking about. Nobody. I haven't seen a single post about this in the Lyme disease community. I don't know if people are going to get mad at me for saying this. They might. You guys might not like what I'm about to say. One major thing that can help you with Lyme disease is losing weight. I know you've never heard that before. If you're overweight, if you're obese, it's okay. I'm not shaming anyone or putting anyone down. I'm not saying you're wrong or you've done a bad thing. What I am saying is there's a ton of evidence that overall wellness, overall holistic wellness is deeply linked to how much extra body fat we have. It's also linked to, they did a study where I was interested. Does weight loss help with Lyme disease? This is something nobody talks about. Does weight loss help with Lyme disease? Very interesting question. So I looked into it, and it turns out that the antibiotic treatment that they did have a better effect for those that were not overweight. They took a group of overweight people, they took a group of healthy weight people, then they gave them antibiotics, and they saw the reactions of the antibiotics with the Lyme microbes in the body. And what happened was the group that was healthy weight had a much better rate of healing than the overweight or obese cohort. So, very interesting study. Maybe I can link to it in the description below. I have to dig it up and put it in the description, but I thought it was extremely interesting. But if you think about it, weight loss is just linked generally to our overall health, period. To every area of health. Everything gets better when we lose those extra pounds, when we lose that extra fat. Our body just operates in a much better way. For example, let's say you have joint pain. Let's say you have, your knees hurt every day. Well, one thing, I've had bad knees my whole life. I had a knee surgery when I was younger. I've also been overweight. I've been obese. I've been one of those people that needed to lose a lot of weight. I'm luckily, I've put in a lot of work to not be there now. But when I am overweight, my knees hurt way more. My knees were totally just hurt all the time pretty much when I was overweight. And it just makes common sense. You're putting more weight on your joints at all times. If you've got those extra pounds, it just hurts your joints. Your joints take a more of a beating over time when you have that extra weight. So that's just one tiny little area where weight loss can be beneficial. But across the board, every area, weight loss can be beneficial for Lyme disease. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that everyone can even do this. I'm not saying you're wrong if you have some extra pounds that you need to lose. I'm not saying, I'm not saying it's not really saying anything other than the fact that if you were able to lose weight, if you're overweight and you're able to lose weight, you will start to slightly feel better over time. Now, it's very difficult to lose weight with Lyme disease specifically because, you've got the fatigue, you've got the just being tired all the time, feeling beaten down, feeling that brain fog, feeling the joint pain, all of the pains and the aches and the struggle of Lyme disease makes it very difficult to then go exercise. So, yeah, it's a big challenge. It's a huge challenge. But if you were able to figure out how to lose weight, you would see great benefits across the board, whether that's, the effectiveness of the herbal protocol you're taking, whether that's the effectiveness of your ability to detox out, microbe die-off and experience Herxheimer reactions. You would see an across the board better experience with a lower weight. Now, one way that we can all quickly and easily lose weight is just to take in less calories than we're burning in a day. And so maybe if you're not able to exercise right now, maybe you can lose that weight in the kitchen, not in the gym. And that is really my specialty, right? That's what I've spent my whole life studying, is nutrition. I know how to get a six-pack in the kitchen rather than in the gym. I know how to do that because I've been obsessed with it for many, many, many years. Even before I had Lyme disease, I was studying nutrition and to be a nutritionist. And I know for a fact that your body just feels 100% better when you're able to eat the right foods, but also when you're able to drop those extra pounds, when you're able to drop that extra body weight, everything across the board gets better. So this is something nobody ever talks about in the Lyme disease community. And a lot of people are struggling and suffering every single day. And maybe if they started to think about ways that they could improve their overall health and they could improve their weight, that would help with the entire struggle that is Lyme disease. And again, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But the sauna is another way that really helps with that. And then obviously also helps with detoxing and Herxheimer reactions. Many people always talk about that. They don't talk about how the sauna can also help you lead to weight loss if you're eating the right foods and making sure your calories and your calorie expenditure is in the correct limits so that you can start to drop that extra weight and start to see more effectiveness in all of the protocols that you're using, and also start to see your body get better. When we have extra weight, it's very, very difficult for our body to fight illness, no matter what kind of illness that is. So just something to think about, something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I think a lot more research is needed in this area, and I also think a lot more discussion is needed in that area. So I'm interested in what you think about that. What do you think about the idea of losing weight with Lyme disease? Is that something that you think would be very, very difficult for you to do? Is that something that you think is possible? And then also, is it something you've already tried or you've already done? Love to hear your story and your ideas about that. But there's 6 areas that we really focus on when it comes to the overall holistic wellness of a person. And this is what I focused on personally when I was healing from Lyme disease. And then when my friend James got Lyme disease, I went to his house, I started talking to him, started helping him through his Lyme disease journey. And it was the same 6 things that we discuss over and over and over again. And then eventually I had clients that needed help as well, that I would do one-on-one consulting with, coaching with, and talk to them about these 6 areas that are, I just keep coming back to them over and over again. And at first it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't like, oh, these are the 6 areas. It was just like, talking to them about everything in their holistic wellness picture. And then it turns out that I was able to divide it up into 6 categories over time. So the first one is actually blood testing. Now, in 2022, September 2022, I actually went to California so I could study deeper about how to blood test, how to read blood test results, how to take the data and the information that we're getting and decide what a good range is. Now, they have ranges on these blood tests, but a lot of times they're just not accurate. And there's a big difference between optimizing versus trying to, survive. There's a big difference between thriving and surviving. And so they have these ranges that you'll see on blood tests that are based on, survival. They're based on the bare minimum. They're based on, if you have this much vitamin D, like you'll live to see another day. But what we want to focus on is optimizing health. We want to focus on pure thriving health, not just hitting the bare minimum. And I think there's a huge difference there. And this is the difference that you see when coaches are coaching, or nutritionists are coaching athletes versus coaching the general population, right? Maybe you're okay with just surviving, but me personally, I would rather thrive. I would rather optimize my health to be the best that it possibly can be. And so blood testing is the first step. And it's something that I get blood tests every 3 months. I check all my levels. I check my hormone levels. Basically I just do a full panel every 3 months so that I can see where my health is at. And it's just a snapshot. It's not going to tell you every single thing about the past year of your life, but if you do it every 3 months, you can see improvements over a period of a year. You'll have 4 different tests, and you can see what's changing over that time, and you can dissect the habits that you have and the foods that you're eating and the supplements that you're taking and the herbs that you're using in order to decide. Basically, it's all to just make decisions. This is just data that you need in order to make decisions. And it's extremely important. And when you talk about blood testing, you can also talk about Lyme disease testing, which is very inaccurate, and it's notorious for being inaccurate. They have the Western blot test, the ELISA test. These tests are famously just underfunded and they're just not good. They're just not good enough. They don't tell us for sure, do you have Lyme disease? You also can't take them after the fact. You can't say, okay, you have Lyme disease, we treat it, and then you take the test again. Okay, now you don't have Lyme disease. It doesn't really work like that. There's a bunch of false negatives. The tests aren't good. So it's a bummer because it stops a lot of people from getting diagnosed. It stops a lot of people from being able to take next steps on their healing journey because they don't know if they have Lyme disease or not. And they don't know if they have the co-infections. They don't know what's going on. They just know that they feel like crap. And these tests hold a lot of people back. If we had better testing, it would be such a huge help across the board. And there's definitely more needed in that area. 100%. So, but that's the first thing is blood testing. And like I said, Lyme disease testing, not accurate, not really worth the time, energy, and money. But blood testing for optimizing your health, now that to me is worth the time, energy, and money. If you're wondering what company I use, I recently had a really terrible experience with this company that did blood tests. It was the company testing.com. I recommend avoiding them at all costs Okay, they basically, we went to them, and then a year later they charged us for something that we didn't buy again. And then when we asked them about it, they said that they refunded us and took it again. It was like this big mess. But I would say they didn't do a good job of handling the customer experience side. They didn't really help us solve our problem. And so I would avoid that company at all costs. Testing.com, don't go there. Instead, what I like to use is Inside Tracker. And this isn't sponsored. They didn't tell me to say this. I have nothing to gain from sharing this other than you going to get a blood test and starting to improve your health and optimize your health. I recommend Inside Tracker. I think they're awesome. They are a little bit more expensive, I would say, but totally worth it. They not only give you like the breakdown of your specific blood markers, but they also give you action steps. They give you things that you can actually do to start to turn those blood markers in your favor and start to optimize your health. And they also base it on your goals to help you out with that as well. So you actually can get away with getting a blood test through Inside Tracker and not having an expert. I mean, I always recommend having an expert read over it with you and go over some different protocols you can use in order to improve. But if you don't, and you just want to get the blood test and try to take action on the results, Inside Tracker gives you everything you need to do that. So really, really cool stuff. Highly recommend Inside Tracker. The next thing that we discussed, so that was the first thing, is blood testing. The second thing is rest, right? Sleep, undervalued, extremely undervalued. And with Lyme disease specifically, people get insomnia. That's one of the symptoms. I didn't even mention it before because the symptom list is like longer than my body. Huge symptom list that Lyme disease has, and rest is a really, really important one that goes under the radar. People are not getting enough rest just in general. The main thing that I've done recently comes from Dr. Andrew Huberman. I love that guy. You might know him. You may have heard of him. You may watch his podcasts or listen to his podcasts. But he talks about sunlight viewing in the morning. He talks about getting sunlight in your eyes first thing in the morning. It actually sets your circadian rhythm to know, okay, it's morning time, so that when the sun goes down, your circadian rhythm says, okay, it's nighttime, and you are able to get to sleep. And it's all about setting that rhythm with your body. I mean, the world works on rhythms, right? There's high tide, low tide, the moon goes. What does the moon do? That's a good question. Not a moon expert. But you know, the sun goes around the earth. No, it doesn't. The earth goes around the sun. Damn, I never said I was good with planets and the solar system, but my point is that everything works on rhythms with the human body specifically. So if we can trigger that circadian rhythm to start and trigger it to go to bed, that helps a lot. And I actually found personally that when I do this, I get better sleep at night. There's a bunch of other things that you can do in order to get better sleep, like shut down all your electronics like an hour before sleep, keep the lights low at night, use blue blocker glasses. I have some right here actually. They make you look smart too, so there's that added benefit. And then there's a ton of different ways to actually get good rest. Here's something really interesting about rest. The Oura Ring, is one that people always talk about and use. When I went to California and I was talking to a bunch of different experts in different fields, we talked about breath work, really, really interesting stuff that I learned about breath work that I believe could actually apply directly to Lyme disease. We could talk about that at a later date. Maybe I'll make a video about that. If you're interested, let me know. There's a specific breathwork thing that helps your body get into a parasympathetic state where you're triggering your parasympathetic nervous system, which allows your body to heal a lot quicker and easier. And rather than being in a sympathetic state, which is the normal state that the immune system is in, when we're able to trigger that parasympathetic nervous system, it just calms everything down. kind of puts you in a state of rest and rebuilding. Your cells are able to be rebuilt and repaired, and it's the rest state that allows your body to heal. So really, really fascinating stuff. Maybe that breath work thing is a good part of the rest. Maybe we should talk about it right now. So here's how to trigger the parasympathetic state. You do 3 quick breaths in through the nose, 1 long breath out through the mouth. So it would be like this. And you want to do that for some time. And actually, like just doing that little bit actually like calmed me down, loosened me up a little bit, feeling a little loosey-goosey. No, but the way that it works is actually, you may or may not know this, but the body, when you feel like you're out of breath, it's not because you need more oxygen a lot of times. It's because you have too much carbon dioxide. And so there's carbon dioxide tolerance levels and carbon dioxide intolerance. And these are things you can actually test. You can test your carbon dioxide tolerance every morning. A lot of people get into that when they talk about breath work. And that trick that I was just showing you allows you to increase your oxygen and decrease your carbon dioxide. So the 3 breaths in, that brings a bunch of air into your lungs, a bunch of oxygen into your lungs. And then when you do those long exhales, you're dumping a bunch of carbon dioxide out of your body. And it allows more oxygen to be in your blood, and it allows your body to get into that parasympathetic state where healing really starts to happen and rest is a lot easier and quicker. And that means it would help you get to sleep, right? And when we're talking about rest, we're not just talking about sleep. We're talking about meditation. You know, maybe meditation is for you, maybe it's not. Some people hate it, some people love it, but it's worth trying, and it's worth discussing, and it's worth bringing it up in the rest area for Lyme disease. When I had Lyme disease, I did start a meditation practice that I did every single day. And I did that for probably about 3 months, and then I kind of fell off. It's a very difficult habit to build, but maybe that's part of the value, right? Building difficult habits in your life is almost never going to be a negative thing if you're able to push through and continue to do it long term. It usually has a positive effect based on just the idea of you sticking to a hard thing. So, something to think about. But when it comes to rest as well, you know, giving yourself that time to just decompress and not be around a bunch of people, not be working, not be constantly stressed and grinding. One of the biggest things for my journey was I realized how stressed out I really was. My marriage wasn't doing particularly well at the time. My work was doing terrible. I actually had just lost my job. I actually downsized, moved in with my parents. So my stress levels were at an all-time high when, coincidentally, I got Lyme disease on top of it. I was at rock bottom already, you know, when it comes to financially speaking, relationship speaking, and then my health on top of it just bottomed out, and I hit rock bottom. So for a lot of people, it's like that. For a lot of people, it's not just one thing that hits you, right? It's many, many things. It's your finances, it's your relationships, it's your kids, or this or that. And then it all compiles on top of each other, and then boom, Lyme disease comes in on top because, well, a big part of it is because of the stress levels you're experiencing. And being able to lower that stress on your command is a skill that can be learned, but it's also something valuable to just have in your life. And the ability to rest is not one that everyone has. You know, some of us have high anxiety all the time. Some of us, you know, really need to work on being able to rest, and sleep is one of the most important things ever. I mentioned the Aura Ring before, and then I kind of got sidetracked, but the Aura Ring is, from what I understand, when I was speaking to a sleep expert when I went on that trip to California, they're completely inaccurate. And the reason for that is they're not able to measure brain waves. So they don't really know if you're sleeping or not. They're making a bunch of assumptions based on your heart rate, which some of those assumptions are fair. Some of them not so much. So, you know, the data that you're getting from an Oura Ring or from a sleep measure app or a Whoop, any of those things, they are not going to be accurate yet. And maybe the technology will be here one day. But ideally, it would be something that measures your actual brain waves, because that's what tells us if we're sleeping, right? Whatever's going on up here, that's how we know we're sleeping. Our heart rate can get very low, but we can still be awake, right? So, very interesting, something to think about. For me personally, quick story, when I used the Oura Ring, I started getting way too competitive. I was like I have one, and I used it for probably 6 months, but I was just too competitive. I was like, I have to beat my score, and I would like get all stressed out about it. So then I'm like up thinking about how I need to go to sleep so I can beat my score, and then I would lose sleep because I'm trying so hard to sleep, right? And sometimes the way that sleep works best is when you're not trying to sleep at all, when you're just like, it's okay, you know, everything's fine. Nothing matters right now. I can't do anything about my work. I can't do anything about anything. It's time to just shut everything off. And then you end up having a very, very good night of sleep. So it's important to get in that mind state as you're going to sleep. Sometimes something I like to do is think about how insignificant I am. And maybe this works for you, maybe not. Maybe it's just a me thing, but I zoom out. I zoom out for myself, and I picture myself in my house, on my street, in my community, in my city, in my state, in the country of the United States, in the world, in the solar system, in the galaxy. And you're probably thinking, Ryan, we just heard you talk about the solar system. You know nothing about the solar system. True, but I try to picture it, right? I try to picture how I'm just a tiny speck on a rock floating through the universe, and I really have no say in what's going on around me at all times. I can control my personal self, and that's it. And thinking about that sometimes helps me get to sleep, because I think, I don't know, it's like, all right, none of this stuff matters, you know? You can shut off from all of this stuff because none of it matters for the next 8 hours. And then, boom, I'm able to sleep. Then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, everything matters. And I get right back to it. But if you're able to get your mind to think in a way that you're like, none of this stuff matters for 8 hours, you'll be able to go to sleep a lot easier, I think. The next thing, after rest, so we got blood testing, rest. The next thing is what I call zest, right? We need zest. We need habits that are healthy, hobbies that are healthy, relationships that are healthy, and we need to get rid of negative relationships. We need to clean our life, clean our house, right? That's more of another area that I have. But zest is more like hobbies mostly, right? A lot of people have found that they have healed from things like cancer, and that they'll attribute it to something like, I took up painting. And when I started painting, I really found this passion and love for painting, and I started painting every single day, and it helped me stay sane. It helped me stay healthy. It helped me stay positive, and then I was able to heal from cancer. Crazy, crazy stuff, right? I mean, who would have thought painting could help you cure cancer? And maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the thing that actually is the cure, but it's still so valuable and important. A lot of people are walking around today just feeling like they don't have a purpose, feeling like they don't have a thing, like a reason to be living. They don't have a why. They don't have a purpose. They don't have something that's driving them, something that keeps them trying to heal, trying to get better, trying to grow as a person, trying to contribute, trying to get their significance from. A lot of people don't have that. And if you don't have that, it's going to it's going to really be a drawback in the end. It's not going to help you at all if you don't have that. And if you do have that, it can be a multiplier. It can be so helpful, and it can be very, very valuable for your life and for healing itself. Healing the body can come down to, do you have that zest? Do you have that thing that lights you up, that spark, right? And so that's something that we talk about and look at. The next thing is, I just realized how late it is. I'm going to try and speed this up a little. I kind of rambled too much maybe. But hopefully this is helpful for you and you're enjoying this. And then it's all right if I ramble. So the next thing is nutrition, supplements, hydration. What are we putting into our body, right? And a lot of this is going to be decided upon when we take a blood test, when we look at our levels of all of our current micronutrients, our vitamins, our minerals, every single thing, right? When we look at all those levels, we can start to make decisions. What supplements do you need, right? And it's best to be slow when trying to add in supplements. You should try to get everything you need from food. The more you can get from your food, the better. Because your body, you are not what you eat. You are what you can absorb and use in your body, right? You know, you probably heard the saying, you are what you eat. You're not. You're what you can use and absorb. And when you're taking supplements, a lot of studies have found that supplements are not very absorbable. They kind of are overvalued in terms of how much you'll absorb of them. So, for example, if you're taking a vitamin D supplement and say it's like 2,000 IU of vitamin D, how much of that are you actually able to absorb into the bloodstream and into the body? A lot of times they found that it's 50%. And, you know, that's based on a bunch of different studies, but it could be as low as 10%. And also, your body doesn't always use every single thing that you put into it. It can use some of it and just decide it doesn't need the rest of it and get rid of it. So there's this weird balance with what are you actually able to absorb and use. And basically the simplest way to think about this is if it's in food, our body knows how to digest it, knows how to use those nutrients, and knows how to absorb those nutrients. So just overall, it's always best to get the things you need inside of your food. And then we use supplements in the areas that that we just need that extra little bit. One supplement that I used in my Lyme disease journey was collagen. And that's because Lyme microbes, that's what they consume. I would say eat, you know, they're a microbe. They're not like eating like a cheeseburger, but they consume collagen. It's their food source. And so that's the main thing that they use in your body. So your collagen levels will drop when you have Lyme disease. But our body does produce collagen naturally. It's a protein in the body that we naturally produce. But, I mean, just common sense would say if the Lyme microbes are continually eating this, we should probably increase our levels. But you don't want to just increase those levels, obviously. You also want to decrease the level of microbes in your body. You want to get rid of microbes while also increasing your collagen back to normal, healthy levels. So I used collagen. Another way to add collagen is just to use bone broth. And when I was eating, I was actually on a completely plant-based diet when I was healing from Lyme disease, except for one thing. And that one thing was bone broth. And it helped a lot. I like the taste of it. I like the way it made me feel. And having that bone broth increased my collagen levels so I could start to feel better again. And also increasing your collagen can help with your joints, your joint pain. If you're getting low with collagen, you will notice that in your joints. And also in other areas like your brain and your heart as well. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the human body. So kind of interesting, isn't it? That the Lyme disease microbes, Borrelia burgdorferi, they choose the most abundant protein that we have as their food source. Kind of smart. It's something that they could eat that will not go noticed for the most part in a lot of cases. And a lot of people have Lyme disease for years without ever knowing it. Maybe it's because all they're taking is our most abundant protein, so it's hard to recognize that until there's some other issues going on in the body. A lot of times Lyme disease only really comes out when you have something going on inside of your immune system. When you don't have a healthy immune system, that's when you start to see Lyme disease start to take over and have a negative effect on the body. And immune system comes back to things like weight loss, things like getting enough rest, having that zest, having the proper nutrition, having the right hydration, right? We need to be hydrated, even from the perspective, like I said in the beginning, from the perspective of avoiding Herxheimer reactions. Herxheimer reactions happen because the body is not able to detox Lyme microbe die-off. So Lyme microbes are dying off in the body from the herbal protocol you're using, or the antibiotics that you're using, or whatever you're doing. It's working, but the Lyme microbes are dying and then they have nowhere to go. There are 3 places they can go: pee, poop, sweat. That's how we expel things from our body. 2 of those things, pee and sweat, are based on being hydrated, right? You must be hydrated in order to pee and in order to sweat enough. And that's very important. Also, if you're sweating, I would recommend something that's not just water, right? You probably want to refuel with something closer to what sweat really is, which is water, sodium, potassium, magnesium. It's all of those things combined. So when we sweat, we lose all of those things. I noticed personally, because I exercise a lot now, I've been Lyme symptom free for the past, I want to say 4 years. And I've been exercising a lot. I sweat a lot. When I was drinking just water, I felt I didn't feel good at all. I took a blood test. I noticed my levels. I noticed my magnesium was low. My potassium was low. My sodium was low. I said, wow, I guess I'm not replacing the stuff that I'm losing when I sweat. So I started using something called liquid IV, which is just a powder that you add to your drink. And all it really is salt, potassium, sugar, a little bit of sugar. And it helps your body like refuel all of that stuff that it loses through sweat. So that's just something interesting to think about as well, because a lot of us are using saunas, which I recommend, which is actually the next part. So again, blood testing, rest, zest, nutrition, supplements, hydration, the things that we put into our body, and then environment. Okay, environment means cleaning your house, right? Having an orderly house. And that sounds silly or judgmental to some people, and maybe you don't see the value there, but there's a big difference in our mental health when we're able to clean up, when our house is clean and we feel like, okay, everything's where it should be and everything's nice and clean and there's no like dirt everywhere, there's no like, clutter, right? A cluttered space is a cluttered mind. When you can clean up your area, your house, your mind gets cleaned up as well. You feel more peaceful. You're able to reach that parasympathetic state a lot easier. It doesn't feel like there's a million things going on everywhere all the time, and that really helps with being able to reach a peaceful state, which helps your body heal. It helps your parasympathetic nervous system start to rebuild and repair cells and start to take back your body and do all the things that it's supposed to. Another form of environment is, like I said, sauna, right? Sauna is super valuable. It helps us turn on all of those sweat glands and get rid of all of those toxins in the body. Helps us get rid of dead Lyme microbes that may have died from antibiotics or herbs, and just removing them from the body via sweat is really, really, really valuable. If you're saying, how am I going to get a sauna? They're $30,000. I actually have one that I bought from Amazon, and it was $130, and I've had it for 3 years. And it's basically just like a tent, and your head sticks out of it, and you're sitting on a chair inside of it, and then in the back there's like a tank that you fill up with water and plug in, and what it does is it just heats up that water, fills up the little tent with steam, and from the neck down you get super super hot, you start pouring sweat, and you get so hot that your head sweats too, like your whole body is sweating in this little sauna. It only costs like $100, and it lasts. I mean, for me, I still use it today, and I used it during my Lyme disease healing journey. Saunas are valuable for everyone. They get your heart rate all the way up without having to do hard labor like running or that type of cardio. And like we discussed before, weight loss can help a ton with your healing journey. And using a sauna is one way to get that weight loss, because you're able to increase your heart rate to really high levels without putting all that damage on your joints and on your body. So that's something that's really valuable, something to look at. Another thing could be cold therapy. You know, a lot of people are using cold therapy today, and you might be saying, I am not doing that. And that's fair. I mean, I don't actually do this one very often, but I have gotten into a stream in the middle of, a stream up to here in the middle of February in Pennsylvania, where there was snow on the ground. We built a little fire. We got into the stream. We were freezing. We stayed as long as we could, breathing through it. It's crazy what it does to your body after the fact. It like just makes all of the blood rush through your body, and it's very, very interesting. There's a lot of science around it, and it's worth a shot, right? And now, I'm not saying you have to do it every day. I'm not saying it's extremely valuable specifically for Lyme disease, but it can be helpful for reducing inflammation and for feeling good every day, and kind of just something to add into a holistic wellness lifestyle. So that's another form of environment. So the main two things I would say for environment is make sure your house is clean. I know that could be easier said than done, especially if you have Lyme disease and you're tired, and you have kids and you have work and you have all these other responsibilities. To keep your house clean can be hard. Maybe you could hire a maid. Maybe there's something else you could do to try to keep things clean. But that's each person's thing, right? And this goes back to personal responsibility, right? We're all responsible for our own lives, for our own bodies, for our own health, and our environment. Our house is one of them. So keep a clean house, get in that sauna, get that sweat out, use your environment to your advantage. Another thing that I would probably put with environment would be relationships. Being around people that are negative or bringing you down or making you feel less than, or making you feel like you're not good because you're sick, or making you feel like you're not sick and like you're overreacting. Those people should not be in your life. And that's very easy to say and very, 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 very hard to do. Totally understand. I've personally been through a divorce. Hardest thing I ever did, maybe. I've been through a lot of things, so it was a hard thing that I did. That divorce totally, eats you up. There's a lot of crying. There's a lot of mental turmoil. There's a lot of discussions and conversations with many people, from your loved ones to your ex-in-laws, and there's a bunch of mess that goes with divorce. But at the end of the day, to not have a person that's negative or that's bringing you down in your life can be really, really beneficial to your overall health and to your healing journey. So sometimes it helps to cut those people out of your life if they're going to be harmful to you. A lot of times this means cutting people out of your life that just want to do things like, let's just go drink, let's just go, party, let's go smoke and drink and gamble and whatever. Those types of people that are getting into trouble or getting you into these situations where you're doing things that aren't healthy on a regular basis, you want to get rid of those people as well, at least during this period of time when you're trying to heal. And then maybe when you're full 100% health, you will be able to dabble in that lifestyle a little bit. But my feelings are that when you feel 110%, when you take back your body and then some, and you feel like the healthiest version of yourself, you won't have the desire to want to drink and party and do those types of things anymore. That's what happened to me anyway. So maybe that's what would happen to you as well. And I'm just going to wrap this up with the final thing, and that is herbs. So herbs were a key element to my healing journey. They're a key to everyone that I work with. A lot of times people come to me just specifically to talk about herbs because I'm a huge proponent of using herbal protocols in order to heal. They're amazing what they could do because they're very, very high in phytonutrients and phytochemicals. And these are things that we just don't have in our diet today in the same way that we used to. And it's because the food that we eat, while it might be healthy and filled with phytonutrients, it's not as much as it used to be. And that's because we've domesticated our food processes. We've brought them into controlled conditions where there's no insects or microbes for the plants to fight off. We've brought them into we've used pesticides and herbicides to kill off the bugs and the microbes that are on the plants rather than letting the plants fight them themselves, which is what creates the phytonutrients, which then we eat the plant and we get the power of those phytonutrients that are in the plant, which is so powerful and cool. I think it's just amazing. So that's really where herbs come in, because herbs are still grown in the wild. They're still out there, fighting off plant bugs, predators, and microbes all the time. So they have all very high levels of phytonutrients. So when we take those, it allows our body not only to kill Lyme microbes, some of them do, but it also allows us to protect organs. It allows us to rebuild and repair endothelial cells, modulate the immune system. It allows us to kill Lyme microbes. It allows us to take back our body and start to feel like ourselves again. And that's really the power of herbs. And I love herbs. The three main herbs that I used in my journey and that I tell other people to use, Japanese knotweed. That's probably number one. It's been shown to kill Lyme microbes. It's also been shown to be very protective of the heart. It actually is one of the only herbs that crosses the blood-brain barrier, so that it can actually protect your nervous system, which not many herbs can do that. Anything can do that, but this powerful plant, Japanese knotweed, Latin name is Polygonum cuspidatum. Highly recommend Japanese knotweed. It's probably my favorite herb. Second, Andrographis. That's been shown to kill Lyme microbes. There's like a 1% variation where 1% of people have an allergic reaction, and they can be kind of bad for Andrographis. So be careful, but the other 99% of people can benefit greatly from Andrographis. It's also been shown to kill Lyme microbes. It's been used for centuries to heal things from respiratory illness all the way up to, they actually tested it for COVID-19. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I just did. They also tested it, they used it in the flu epidemic actually of 1912 or something, 1918. I have to look at the date, but one of the flu epidemics, they used Andrographis a lot to help people heal as well. So Andrographis is a big one, can be really, really helpful for just in general fighting off viruses and bacteria. And then third, cat's claw, Uncario tomentosa. When I found out about this one, it was a guy from Colombia. This guy from Colombia, and he swore by cat's claw. And he would tell me about cat's claw every day. He said he made a huge jug of it, and he would drink it every day for a year. And this guy, I'll tell you, he looked amazing. He was 50, but people thought he was like 35. He just looked very, very young. He was very healthy. He cared about health. You could tell he ate the right foods. He was my boss at the time, actually. He was the owner of a restaurant that I worked at long time ago. And he told me all about cat's claw. And then when I got sick with Lyme disease, I found out that cat's claw is really helpful, and I jumped all over it. I actually made my own cat's claw tea. You can see it on my YouTube channel. I made my own giant jug of cat's claw tea. It was kind of in homage to this man that I met, but also to help me heal from Lyme disease. But I also love cat's claw for healing from Lyme disease. And then I also mentioned the collagen supplement that I believe people should take when they're trying to heal from Lyme disease. But those are the 3 herbs that I really, really love. Again, cat's claw, Carya tomentosa, andrographis paniculata, and Japanese knotweed, Polygonum cuspidatum. So those are the 3. You can go ahead and look those up if you want to. And that's really all I have. If you haven't already, go to LymeDiseaseWars.com, sign up for the early bird list because we're going to launch really, really soon. And you'll be first on the list. You'll get the lowest possible price because we're going to do a nice soft launch for early birds to get the lowest price on our herbs and on all of our products. And I really want you to be part of it because it's just going to be amazing. I can't wait. I really, really believe that if I had this during my journey, I would have healed quicker and easier. Like I said, I was brewing up my own herbs. I was creating things in order to help myself heal. I was seeking out other people to help me to heal. Herbalists, doctors, naturopaths, all types of people. But if I had this, if I had Lyme Wars, I could have just bought this, used it every day, and I probably would have gotten better. I mean, I obviously can't prove it. Can't go back in time. But I still use these stuff to this day. So, really, really valuable. I can't wait to share it with you. And if you're on this stream right now, I'm going to give one of these away. Who wants this? If you want this, say me in the comments, and I'll choose one random winner in the comments section to get this box along with this shirt. So you get this. It's not an empty box. There's things in here. I'm not going to reveal everything that's in the box. I think you probably won't be too surprised about what's in the box, but on Sunday, February 26th, we will be launching this so everybody can get this. But right now, we're doing a giveaway. If you want a Lyme Wars shirt and a Lyme Wars box, all you have to do is comment below. Say, I want the box. And you will be entered to win. I'm going to choose one person at random. I'm also not going to choose them on this stream right now. I'm going to choose it. I'm going to give people some time. I know that it's a Friday night. You know, not everyone's sitting around talking about Lyme disease. Not everyone's a nerd like me that just obsesses over Lyme disease nonstop and just can only think about how to heal people from Lyme disease. That's me. That's my thing. And so I want to give people some time to get involved in this giveaway. But just comment below, say, I want the box, and you'll be entered to win these 2 items, the shirt and the box. Can't wait to give that away to you for free. And stay tuned. Sunday, February 26th, everyone will finally have the power of Lyme Wars on their side. And go to LymeDiseaseWars.com to sign up for the list. Can't wait to see you there. Thanks so much, and I'm signing off for the night. I could use some rest. Tomorrow I'll get some zest. I'm not gonna be that cheesy and go back through the whole list, but thank you so much for watching. My name is Ryan Kearns from LymeDiseaseWars.com, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, Facebook. Bye-bye, YouTube.